What is going on? Welcome back to the Lawless Sports Podcast, and today, oh my gosh, man, we got an NBA episode coming out for you guys, but first things first, it's been way too long, and I can't wait to get more of these episodes out for you guys. Just gonna keep pumping them out back to back because I love doing it. I've been pretty busy with work and just other things that are going on in my life, possible internships, just a lot of things. But you know what? It's time to talk about NBA, and it's time to talk about something that just happened. The New Orleans Pelicans have landed the number one pick in the draft. And I don't know if you saw Zion Williamson's reaction, but my man was not that positive, not too happy about it. He looked a little shocked. And, I mean, there's crazy reports of, like, him trying to possibly go back to school because he doesn't want to play for New Orleans. Anthony Davis isn't sure what he wants to do now, exploring trade options in terms of going to LA. He could be losing out on $40 million if he decides to leave New Orleans this summer. I have no idea what's going to go on with that, but I don't know. Zion, we haven't seen a guy like him enter the league since LeBron James in 2003, so he is definitely a life-changing NBA superstar for a lot of these organizations. A lot of teams like the Suns, the New York Knicks especially, are devastated right now, but who knows? Maybe Zion, or maybe that pick gets traded. Who knows? But we do have another topic that I definitely have a lot more to say about, and that's going to be the Milwaukee and Toronto series in the Eastern Conference Finals. What a heartbreak for my Philadelphia 76ers. Kawhi Leonard in his spot, hitting the last second shot to win the game 92-90. I mean, what a heartbreaker to actually watch that. I mean, just sitting on my couch, just watching the ball bounce like 4 times to go in. It was just ridiculous. But, I mean, I said to all my friends before the game, we can let Kawhi Leonard get 30. We can let him get 35. We can still win this game. Of course, he drops 41, and that's how it goes. But I want to talk about how Milwaukee is going to absolutely devastate this Toronto team. Giannis Antetokounmpo is one of the most physically gifted athletes I've seen in any sport. I can't think of another, like, just his pure athleticism. LeBron James a couple years back, and then even you go way, way, way back to like Bo Jackson in the 80s, running back for the Raiders. Just like this dude is just, he came into the league like super skinny and lanky, kind of like that KD build, and now he's just super shredded, faster than everyone, stronger than everyone, longer than everyone. I mean, my man can Euro step from half court essentially and dunk and get the and one, but man, if that guy gets a jump shot, it's over for the NBA. We're looking at him and KD neck and neck as the best player in the world. But this Toronto series with Philadelphia showed me something, that Toronto isn't that deep as we thought that they were in terms of their bench. Like, a lot of people were saying that they had the upper hand, they had the advantage because of guys like, Van Lee and Norman Powell and like guys like that coming off the bench, and they're going to, give that excitement, the leadership of veteran Kyle Lowry. I mean, that dude, we haven't seen him perform in like the last 4 years, especially he was terrible in the playoffs last season. He has been pretty bad in the playoffs this year. I don't see Kyle helping out Kawhi in this series at all, and I just see Giannis going off for 40 a night and just winning, and Milwaukee winning this game in five games to make a series 4-1. I'm tripping over my words. It's been a long time since I've done this, but yeah, I don't like Toronto in this series. I think the stage is going to be too bright. I mean, sadly, I think when Milwaukee does advance to the NBA Finals, they're going to probably get destroyed. Maybe make a little run, like maybe like it'll be like a 4-2 series for the Warriors, like 6 games. I give them 2 games. If KD comes back, I might even give the Warriors the sweep, but I don't know. I definitely think Milwaukee is going to be running the East for a while, but yeah, it's really all I have to say. I mean, Milwaukee, they've been outstanding. I mean, Giannis has been an absolute force in these playoffs. I mean, no one really can stop him. No one really can guard him. He's been unbelievable. I mean, I don't know if there's anyone in the Eastern Conference right now who is better than Giannis. I mean, No, not I can't. I mean, Kawhi Leonard, he's been outstanding. We all know what he can do, but the fact that Giannis is this young, he's a 3-time All-Star. He was the most improved player, and he's just been going and just getting so much better. He averaged 28, 13, and 6 this year, which is outstanding. Absolutely outstanding. And again, if he can get a consistent jump shot to fall, I'm really curious. He's had a pretty terrible 3-point percentage his NBA career at 28% in the regular season, but the dude is 24 years old. The sky is the limit for him. But now, let's talk about a guy where the sky really isn't the limit for him. And, he's been in the league for a while. And we're talking about the king. We're talking about LeBron James. Now, this next topic, it's the possibility of the trade. Rumors have been spreading like wildfire since the Sixers have been eliminated from the playoffs, and that is the trade for Ben Simmons for LeBron James. Diehard 76ers fan, this trade makes no sense. From every sense of the spectrum, it makes no sense, and here's why. First things first, Ben Simmons is 21 years old. He's 21. With all the problems that people say that Ben Simmons has, they're acting like he's been in the league for like 6 seasons. He's been in the league actively for 2 seasons, and he is already showing signs of greatness, and he's only going to get better. He's actively working on his jump shot and his chemistry with his teammates, and him and JoJo have gotten a great thing going on, and he's only going to become a better player and just a great leader. And a lot of people forget, LeBron came into the league without a jumper. Jordan came into the league without a jumper. Magic Johnson never had one in the first place, and I think things turned out pretty well for him. So, of course, these are very extreme examples, but these guys came into the league without a jump shot, but they left with one, other than Magic, of course, and he can develop that. He is so young, and he's not even not even near the prime of his career yet. Give the kid some time. Pump the brakes on everyone saying that Simmons isn't who we thought he was, and just we're just going to let him ride out, and we're going to let him become that great player. All I'm saying is, to go back to LeBron James, he's the greatest player of this generation, but he's in the downwind of his career. And it's crazy to say that for his standards. LeBron James, what did he average? 27, 8, and 7? This past season, and that is a down season for him, you know what I mean? It's pretty crazy when you think about it. Yeah, he was 27, 8, and 8. And everyone's like, oh man, LeBron, slow it down. Oh, LeBron. What? Dude, that's almost a possible MVP season for almost any other player in the league. And my man had 27, 8, and 8, and people are saying he's down. But what I will say is, my man's 34 years old? Yup. He just turned 34 in December. I'm looking towards the future for Philadelphia. I love who we have, and I love the culture that we're creating, and LeBron James is just not someone, to me, who I think is someone who I want to get moving forward for this organization. We're going to stay on LeBron James, and we're going to have a little fun with this one. A lot of people ask me, every time, I'm talking sports with them, my friends, my coworkers, whoever I'm talking with, daily basis, when you talk about the greats of the sport, whether it be the NFL, NBA, who is the definitive greatest player of all time in the NBA ever? And who's in the conversation for me? Well, I got a couple players in mind. Michael Jordan, who has been known as the greatest basketball player of all time to have ever stepped on a court. LeBron James, without a doubt. And then you got other guys, kind of weird ones, but to me, Shaq was someone who could have been the greatest of all time had he cared about his body, had he cared about his personal diet and his athleticism and took care of himself. Shaq just had such immense natural talent that who knows what Shaq could have been even later into his career. And you talk about like the fat years with Cleveland and Boston and Phoenix. Like, who knows what he could have been, how much better he could have been. I mean, the dude, as we know, Hall of Fame player, possibly the greatest center, top 5 center of all time. Could have been the greatest player of all time. So that Shaq is also in the conversation for me. And you got to think about other guys like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Is he the greatest player to ever touch a basketball? Ever step foot on the court? I believe he has the most MVPs in NBA history. He also has the most points in NBA history. He has the most field goal attempts in NBA history. Kareem, he literally had the most unstoppable shot in NBA history. There's no one who came into the league and had a more unstoppable shot than Kareem Abdul-Jabbar in the hook shot. Like, no one. So, it's pretty crazy. But I think it really comes down to two. So I've talked about Kareem, I've talked about Shaq, but LeBron and Michael, this is where I put it. If I want a guy who is going to, just for longevity reasons, LeBron James has never done anything wrong in his entire NBA career, and that is something that a lot of people can't say. LeBron has never had a problem with drugs. He's never had a problem with alcohol. He's never abused anyone. He's never been involved in any sort of possible court case. Nothing. LeBron James has had a clean slate. He's been nothing but just a great basketball player. And I guess it's one of those things where, like, a person can't be too perfect, because the one thing LeBron James is missing is that killer instinct, that assassin instinct, that guys like Michael and even Kobe Bryant had that killer instinct to put the game away, to put fear in their opponent. LeBron James, yeah, he's physically imposing, but you never really get the sense that LeBron is like a killer on the court, an assassin, you know what I mean? But that's where Michael had his problems. Michael was a perfect basketball player on the court. Everything was just technically sound, from the way he laid the basketball up to his perfect 90-degree jump shot, everything. But then, his off-the-court issues, gambling, his quote-unquote retirement in the middle of his prime. That was not a retirement. That was David Stern saying, listen, I know you were gambling. Take 2 years off and come back. We need you. Come on. Like, that's what happened. Like, it might be speculative, but that's what happened. In the prime of your career, he could have won 8 straight chips, Michael. Easy. He could have, the Bulls could have been 8 for 8 in the 90s, and that would have been insane. But Michael had to mess around in Atlantic City, gamble, and then he was caught, and then he quote-unquote retired, and then came back like nothing ever happened. And then we won't talk about Washington. It didn't happen. But I want both players for different reasons. If I want a guy who I want for 15 seasons to just be 28, 8-8, and just play incredible basketball and get the rest of his team involved, yeah, I'm going LeBron. If I want a killer on the court for 10 seasons, just to be an assassin, to put up like over like 30 a game, and no one else matters on the court but him, give me Michael Jordan. For his career, he averaged 30 points a game. It's unreal. Like, to be able, your entire career, to average 30 points a game, it's outstanding. But if I had to pick one to just, I gotta go Michael. And I was a LeBron guy for a long time because, it's pretty easy why. He's my GOAT, if that makes sense. He is my generation's greatest of all time. He is who I grew up watching basketball my entire life. And I always saw him as, there's just no one better. You look at the screen, he's the one jumping off the TV. He's the best player to ever play. But then I start watching tape of Michael Jordan in his prime when he averaged 33.6 points a game in 1990 or 32.6 in 93. Like, just off the wall numbers. And he did it on a nightly basis. Larry Bird, my God, what was the quote? Larry Bird, he said, like, God was like Michael Jordan, like God was in Michael Jordan's body or something. Like, pretty nuts. Like, that's what he said. I think he's God disguised as Michael Jordan. So is what he said after that playoff game. After that 63-point record playoff game. And yeah, it's pretty nuts. But Michael, to me, was always like an enigma. What I mean by that, it's like he like cultivated, like he was his generation's LeBron. Like LeBron is our generation's Michael. Like he was like, you know, on commercials and in Space Jam and in movies. Like, if you were growing up in the 90s, you didn't even need to know much about basketball, but you knew Michael Jordan. You knew who he was. And I think just for that, if Michael didn't have his off-the-court issues, then I think like there would be literally, without a shadow of a doubt, like the conversation wouldn't even start. Like, if he had no gambling issues, like no alcohol issues, like a lot of people, like the flu game, it's very possible that he didn't have the flu. He was just hungover from his night of gambling. Like, if all those issues didn't exist, I think it would be pretty cut and dry who the greatest of all time is. And, yeah. But I'm going to stick with Michael just as a pure basketball player, as a pure just guy to take over the game. I don't think there's anyone who's been better ever in NBA history. And then people talk about, how was Kobe not in the conversation? We already got Kobe. We already got a better Kobe. His name was Michael Jordan. Kobe was just a worse Michael. He copied all of his moves. You know, he did the same celebrations. He cried like he did. You know what I mean? Like, same jumping up and down after the finals. Like, we already got Michael. And Kobe, again, one of the greatest players. I mean, there's a lot of players who have even quoted to say Kobe's, in terms of Kobe versus LeBron, they would rather go against LeBron because Kobe was just had more fiery passion for the game. And they would rather go up against LeBron because they feel like sometimes LeBron wasn't always like, you know, like he would slump sometimes on defense, but Kobe would never let up. Like, so it's little things. So it's funny that the players of a previous generation think that Kobe's better than LeBron, but this generation of players and the fans of the NBA of this generation think that LeBron's the greatest. So it's a very interesting dynamic, you know. It's just, you know, like a tale of two cities kind of thing, but that reference probably didn't make any sense. But all in all, I just want to say thank you guys so much for checking out the episode. It means a lot for you guys to continue to listen to me and support me. Feel free to shout me out. Follow me on Instagram at Lawless Sports Podcast. Thank you guys so much, and you guys have a great night. Goodbye.